Welcome back. You're watching News X. My name is Vineet. The Calcutta High Court has refused to interfere with the West Bengal government's notification restricting the slaughter of bulls, cows, calves and buffaloes ahead of Eid. The court agreed that cow slaughter was not a part of either the festival of Eid al-Adha or Islam. The petition filed by TMC MLA had sought a direction to the state government for consideration of their request seeking exemption under Section 12 of the West Bengal Animal Slaughter Control Act 150. The court has found no basis to set aside the notification and put onus on the Suvendu Adhikari government to make decisions on the exemptions. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the program is Dr. S.K. Datta, International Affairs expert, Mr. Sumit Peer, senior political commentator is joining us on the show as well. Mr. Asif Ansari, political analyst, with us on the program as well. Sumit, I'll begin with you to lend some context over here. Well, this is, quite, not so familiar since the time that, TMC has been in power in West Bengal, that something like this has been passed on the government, to figure out and decide. The court has made some reservations. It's also made some observations about, this slaughter. But the most important part of, this direction was that this is something that does not fall under the purview of Eid. So why should the courts interfere? Sumit.
Vinny, thank you very much for having me on your show, and you have put the question in the right context. Congratulations. Because, there are three things, first of all. First of all, is it an essential part of Islam? Is it a part of the Islamic rituals? There have been precedences in the past wherein even in the Honorable Supreme Court, it is established this is not a part of the Islamic practice, or this is not a mandatory part of the Islamic practice. Let me put it this way. So, if you want to bring in religion and say it's because of the Islam wants you to do that, so that is not the case. That is already done and dusted. It's something like hijab, wherein hijab was never an essential part of Islam, but some people would insist that it's a part of Islam. Then the courts had to interfere and break it down to the bits and bytes. So that is point number one, very important thing. Second thing is that cow slaughter is not allowed in India. Calf slaughter is not allowed in India. Point number three, and if you talk of a sacrifice or a slaughter or a bali, whatever you want to call it, or kurbani, but it can't be on the roads, it can't be on the public places, and it can't be on the where there is a public ruckus and the roads are filled with blood. And what happens next day, you will find, the remaining parts of the animal on the road. Then you have to get municipality and they will take days to clean it up. There's smell everywhere. There are a lot of people who don't eat meat. There are a lot of people who don't believe in all this. But you can't have a civic problem in the whole state because it is Eid or it is that. And third important is that you have to get a fitness certificate for even if there's some kind of a slaughter, you have to get a fitness certificate. I think any animal below 14 years cannot be slaughtered. That's also part of the justification. So what you are trying to do, you are trying to, kind of put it within the parameters. You're trying to put it within the legal framework, and you're trying to fit it within the rule of the law. The problem here is, I don't know why TMC is Mahua Maitra went to the court. What is her onus in this? And she's not even a practicing Muslim to best of my capability, to best of my knowledge. But if you want to do Muslim appeasement to this level, that you want to go to the court and file a petition and try to challenge the West Bengal government's ordinances or law rather, then it is very unfortunate. What is Adhikari ji trying to do? He's trying to regulate the things around it as per the rule of the law. Whatever irregularities, whatever ruckus was created by Mamata Banerjee, he's just trying to regulate that. So he's not saying that, there won't be a slaughter and all, but there are norms around it. Like what he did earlier, a couple of days back, that the mosque will have an X amount of decibel of the loudspeaker. It can't go beyond the complex of the mosque, right? So things like that. But it can't be like that when it was a TMC ruled state, that doing the Durga Puja and Kali Puja, you will say these are the 5 times when the azans will happen. Make sure the bhajans and the kirtans are shut down. Well, that can't happen. No, because it's the Mohram which has to take the precedence. Ma Durga immersion will not happen. Kali Puja will not happen. You take some other route. So those days of blatant appeasement are over. You are trying to put things in an order. You are trying to put things which are done in a civil society. How many states in the country, including UP, where there's the highest Muslim population, you see such things happen? They don't happen here. They don't happen everywhere. It was done in West Bengal under Mamta's, this Muslim appeasement politics. That is what it was done. And the community should see it as being regulated, being put in parameters of law and all. I don't think there is infringement on anybody's religious practice or anybody's liberties. It is only what the rule of the law demands, what the civil liberties and the civil mannerism kind of defines. That is what is being done. So as we have to look at that, we have to look at it as a right step by the administration to ensure that things flow as per the process. Yes, if some people may see there's no Muslim appeasement happening. Yes, there's no Muslim appeasement happening. That is for sure. So, I mean, there's nothing beyond that. And it is very kiddish on the part of TMC after getting started drubbing in the elections, but they still want to possibly try to win back their vote bank or whatever. And they're very desperate and trying to hang to the straws when needed. That is how I look at it.
All right. Makes a lot of sense, Sumit, the way you have put it. Dr. Datta, is this about appeasement, or do you think this is about propriety?
Propriety of what sense? I think this is brutal and rampant appeasement. And TMC is famous for this. The last 15 years of TMC rule of Mamta Didi, we have seen nothing but glaring appeasement of the minority community at the cost of grievances and hurt for all other communities, whether it's the Hindu Sanatani community, the Jain, the Buddhist, or the Parsi, the Sikh, or the Christian. They should have remembered and they should have understood one thing, that their game plan of appeasement politics is over and out now. The verdict of the 2026 assembly election, the brutal verdict given to the Bharatiya Janata Party by the people of Bengal, is a clear-cut warning that they should stop with this kind of appeasement politics, which TMC has been famous, and earlier, prior to TMC, the left front was famous for this. The Honorable Supreme Court in its past hearing had also made it very clear that this is not a written or a traditional oral practice of Islam, the slaughter or the kurbani of the cow, the calf and the bull and other related animals. As far as I understand and as far as I remember, from the interpretation of the Holy Quran written by Arnold Toynbee and others, I do remember that there is an ayat and there is a surah where the Holy Prophet Muhammad himself says about mother cow that it is it's a family bred giver. It gives him milk as well as helps in the agricultural production, plows in the field and everything. So therefore, the cow and the bull needs to be respected, and they are not meant for slaughter. So that ayat is very much there. If the interpretation of the Holy Quran is correct by famous historian like Arnold Toynbee. So having said that, I would say that Mohua Maitra and the TMC MLA, they have actually become rampant rabble rousers of the cockroach Janata Party gang, and they have nothing else to do. It seems it's their, pastime, merry time for them to come up with all kind of fictitious, hilarious kind of arguments and issues, and disturbing the normal proceedings of the courts as well as the other agencies, whether it's the Honorable Calcutta High Court or whether it's the Supreme Court of India. And every time they get a thorough thrashing in the husking, but then they are not willing to reform themselves, or they are not willing to ratify themselves. I welcome the steps taken by the Bengal government, and especially by the Honorable Chief Minister. There is a limit to minority appeasement, and this cannot go beyond that point. Second is, like, if they are giving an argument that it hurts in the traditional practices of the religious sentiments of the minority community of India, now cite me any official authentic data or any official authentic clause of the Indian Constitution where it is mentioned that if you don't do this, you hurt the sentiments of the minority community. In fact, the directive principle of the state policy, which is a very important part of the Indian Constitution, There it is explicitly mentioned that that holy cow needs to be declared as a national animal, and there should be complete ban on slaughter of the holy cow or mother cow, and as well as in the trade of the flesh of mother cow. And the directive principle of state policy of the Indian Constitution, the Bharatiya Constitution, makes it very clear to the government of Bharat as well as to the state government that they should follow this principle, and they should try every means to ban in the slaughter of the holy cow within the state. Now, all these people from the cockroach gang, they come with a hilarious argument that in the BJP ruled state of Goa, or for that matter, in the northeastern states of the NDA ruled hill states, their cow is being slaughtered or bull is being slaughtered. Let me make two things very clear to them because they don't read the things. The Goa, accession or the Goa Integration Act, once the Portuguese had abdicated power in Goa, and when Goa became a part of the Indian Union, in that treaty it was explicitly mentioned that one of the important provision of the accession of Goa with the territory of India was like that the Union of India will ensure that the ethnic cultural identity, the food habits, as well as the tradition and culture of the Goans would be taken care of, and government of India would give in every protection to the Goan citizen after their merger with India. In the case of the northeastern states, the hill states, there is something called the sixth schedule of the Indian Constitution, which is similar to Article 370 of the Jammu and Kashmir, which was that time given, and which has been eradicated. The sixth schedule of the Constitution of India is also very clear that the northeastern hill states, which are generally Christian-dominated state, the Union of India would ensure that their ethnic cultural identity and their religious rights are protected.
Dr. Datta, you've made your point. I also want to bring in. Yeah, you've made your point. I'll come back to you in the second round as well. We also have to accommodate Mr. Asif Ansari, political analyst, into this conversation. Mr. Ansari, what are your views here? This is a law which originates from 1950. The court says that all of these slaughterhouses must have fitness and medical certificates which determine the age of the animal to be more than 14 for slaughter. This is obviously a result of the change in government in West Bengal as well. The BJP feels that it is also a result of the 15-year-long appeasement that Mamata Banerjee has been doing.
Well, good evening. I heard this Mr. Datta, Dr. Datta has explained very illustratively everything about the traditions and the law and the articles he has talked about. And most importantly, he talked about that the Constitution of India says that the cow should be declared as a national animal. So the Muslims right now are requesting the government to declare cow as a national animal, because the contention and the confrontation what is happening in West Bengal right now, because it has been seen that the dual characteristic of the government, that at the one side India has been rated as the largest beef exporter, and secondly, in the other hand, they are stopping the religious group to slaughter cow. That is a bone of contentions we have seen, and the clashes. And secondly, if you see what we have seen in the directive principle in Article 48, it has been talked about why cow should not be slaughtered, because one aspect is that in Indian culture we all respect cow, and we too respect cow because the animal's characteristic is so lovable that everyone respects cow. But again, the second para says that the bull, all the progeny of the cow, like bull, buffalo, everything. So cow can be taken as an exceptional case because it's been worshipped or it has been seen as a mother category, but bull, buffalo can be given an exception for at least for the religious sacrifices and festival. Whereas we have seen in the other part of the India, the bull and the buffaloes are being sacrificed during the special occasion, the other festival. So this is a contention. Secondly, if you come to the Sharia law, what the Sharia says, because Mr. Datta has a very good knowledge about the Quran because he read. I'm really impressed by his knowledge. That one thing about the animal is being described here, that the animal should be fresh, healthy, should not suffer from any diseases. And here it contradicts with a policy and directive that it has to be, the animal should be at least the age of 14, and which cannot be able to produce, cannot able to walk properly, can be given essential for slaughter. So these points are being really contradicting itself. There is a friction that they are not agreeing on the point. And most importantly, you will see the political scenario, why it is happening so hue and cry in West Bengal. Because we have seen the CPM has ruled this state for 34 years, almost make it 35. 15 years this TMC government has ruled this state. Out of this 35 and 15 years, it combined to a 50 years. Since 50 years, the minority is doing sacrifices over here. In the time of CPIM government, there was a case fought in a Supreme Court, which they lost the cases, but they didn't appeal. But for the appeasement politics to the minority, they didn't go for the appeal, but allow them, because it should not be said, because they allow them to sacrifices for a pocket of vote. Then it was carried by the TMC again. It was collectively of 50 years of practices. So my point is that this 50 years of practices, the human practices, cannot be barred, cannot be stopped in a single directive or a single vote mandate to the BJP. If BJP really wants to stop cow slaughter, it will be definitely improved slowly and steadily. But it should be given to the buffalo and
but
cow,
isn't that
to
what
everything.
happens? You're quite right. But isn't that what happens, Sumit, when power replaces power? This is they are going to want to do things their own way. What is wrong with that? There are also decisions which have been made related to the fencing in West Bengal, the chicken snack, and loads of infrastructure which has been pending for decades now. Sumit.
Vineet, you put the very right question in the very right perspective. I will tell you why. Because whenever you do it, there will be election before that, or there would have been an election after that, right? So you will relate it to the election, you will relate it to the BJP, you will relate it some way to any of the national or international event happening. That is why it has been done. First of all, look, TMC has ruined this state. He has ruined the state. They have literally brought down the state. They have turned the economy into shambles. Why fencing was not allowed for that around 550 kilometers? When Suvendu Adhikari ji takes over, in 24 hours he gives the fencing to happen, because from that region the cattle smuggling was happening to Bangladesh. And when that Datta, the TMC leader, was caught, the kingpin of the gang, he said we were paying 150 crores to them a month as a hafta for running this business. So illegals were coming, Rohingyas were coming, Bangladeshis were coming, fake Aadhaar cards were made. They will come and get an Aadhaar card. And you know what was done in West Bengal? They will identify a piece of land, encroach that land, and every constituency where you have 4,000 or 5,000 votes, you will have a very dense population of the minorities and Rohingyas and Bangladeshis with fake Aadhaar cards and all. And that small patch will decide the fate of the constituency here or there. So wherever you will find a small piece of land, the land will be immediately encroached by TMC's surrection and by TMC's blessings. And that is how these small pockets will basically impact the election results. What happened when the SIR was done? How did Mamta's fate completely change? Because all those illegals and all that Farji Bada which was done with the state patronage was taken out. She would never care for the national security. For her, appeasement of Muslims and making those Muslim vote banks and having that pockets of influence, giving them every and each and right. So let the national security go to hoots. Let Pakistan threaten us easily. Let Pakistan say the next state attack is coming from West Bengal. Let Turkey immediately talk of a greater Bangladesh project. And exactly where Malda, Murshidabad, 24 North Pargana, there the fencing was not allowed, because that is where the Aman Jawan happens. So when you look at all those things, Vineet, and then this blatant appeasement. What is Mr. Adhikari saying? Did Suvendu Adhikari say that no, you cannot do the slaughter? No, he didn't say that. He said there are rules and regulations which are followed by every state of the country. There are more Muslims in UP than anywhere in the India. They follow the rules and they seem to have no problems. But why is the problem with TMC here? And I'm telling you, maybe 99% of the Muslims in Bengal don't have a problem. But Mahua Moitra has the problem because she sees that this is the way to fight her dwindling political fortunes or the dwindling political fortunes of the TMC. Why only in West Bengal this becomes a problem? Did BJP or anybody so there's not a slaughter? No. There are set of regulations which need to be followed, and these regulations are being told. You can't have slaughter on the roads. You can't have a cow's head lying there on the road. You can't have the intestines on the road. You can't have the blood flowing on the way, roads. There all needs to be regulated. And moreover, the Honorable Supreme Court has said this is not an essential part of the Islam. So there is a very fine, reasonable connotation and logic to what is being done. This is done within the rules of the constitution. This is done within the power of the Chief Minister. And yes, if you want to ask me, yes, this goes against the pre-nurtured habit of Muslim appeasement. Yes, this is not Muslim appeasement. Yes, this is not that blue-eyed syndrome. Yes, this is not giving them special status. Yes, that all is being done. Yes, national security is important. Yes, rule of the law is important. Yes, sentiments of the Hindu qawm or Hindu faith are important. Yes, Gau Mata is very near and dear to our hearts. You cannot be slaughtering her on the roads because you say today it's a Eid. So all these things and sensitivities are taken care of. Likewise, in India, we also take care of a lot other sensitivities, which including to the Muslim faith, like slaughtering of pigs and all. We don't allow that. We don't allow that. There are things we don't allow. So when it comes to Hindu faith and Hindu things, why this becomes a national debate? Why does TMC want to still use Muslims after the Shias devastated them? Why do you want to still devastate the state when the things are being done? Why didn't you give land for the fencing? Why did you had this, Avan Javan happening? What did you do about the Greater Bangladesh project? Why did you do, how many Rohingyas and all did you deport? Why didn't you give that 45 kilometers to the BSF?
Right.
Why were you giving those rations and ration pani of Indian money to those illegals? Why did 81 lakh people disappear from the Bengal rolls? These are the things what TMC should be answering, and forget the scams of Abhishek Banerjee, which are in dozens. And the things are catching up with him. Now today, what I've heard that he can't even leave the country. With all those things happening, do you think on a day of Eid you can just turn over your fortunes?
Okay. All right. Sumit, let's also get a word in from Manasvi, who's joined us just now. Although he's a little late, he's missed out on the conversations that have taken prior to his joining. But Manasvi, you know what the context is here. A new government in West Bengal, new rules, cow slaughter, without a proper certificate and a health check under the age of 18 is discontinued.
Vinit, can you just repeat your question? I just missed because of that internet lag. Can you just repeat?
Yeah, well, I'm saying there's the big change in West Bengal. Cow slaughter is not something which is permissible without the presence of a vet or a certificate from a doctor about their age. The TMC is alleging that this is targeting the minority.
I think this is what,
Go on, Manasvi, please.
no, I don't. I don't think that is a target to minority. I think that is what people of Bengal have voted for, and I think this is where the political arena of West Bengal has completely changed from left to centrist to completely rightist, and this is where this movement has to go with, and this is very political also from Suvendu Adhikari, and he's right in this political outreach. But this was not part of the BJP manifesto in Bengal. This was not a part of a discussion or rally discussion or due course of discussion that this will happen. But I think this is a great step for Hindu sentiments, more specifically, who are predominantly the voters of BJP. And these kind of statements, and this just creates that political larger divide, while there are many burning issues like industry, unemployment are burning issues. While that has been completely silent as of now, we would see in the future, in the coming days, weeks and months, what kind of a role that is going to be played by Suvendu Adhikari. But this particular junction on cow slaughter is something which will directly be a national debating point. While there are states of BJP which is having one of the largest cow slaughter which is happening, BJP is completely silent on that particular angle. Also, cow slaughter in entire country should not happen. There has to be center rules. This should not be just state rules. There has to be center rules, because predominantly India is a Hindu larger population and we worship cows, and it has to be rules coming from the center, which center has been selectively silent. What we have seen is, whenever BJP comes in power, which was not a BJP ruled state previously, they would have these kind of rules and regulations, and uska bhang bhi hum logon ne dekha hua hai hote hue. but how strong BJP would be. The major question has to be, do we want this as a national thing that cow slaughter should not happen in India? Or do we want just a political gimmick which BJP could be doing it? Because in the past, I have seen cow slaughter rules have come and that has not been properly taken up by BJP. And that is where it is really showing the hypocrisy of any political party, predominantly the BJP, which comes up with these rules and their own state chief ministers don't follow. So that is something that has to be countered, and these are questions which we need to ask to the BJP.
Okay, quickly, a response from Dr. Datta. Dr. Datta, a response from you to what Manasvi said. 30 seconds, we are completely run out of time. I knew you would want to respond to this.
I think it was definitely a part of the BJP election manifesto that there would be a complete ban on cow slaughter in Bengal if BJP comes to power. And it was very explicitly mentioned. Having said that, in relation to the Pan-India ban, yes, I do welcome the Pan-India ban on complete, ban on slaughter of holy cow, mother cow, but with exceptions in relation to Goa, which I had mentioned about them, because the Goa Integration Act makes it very clear that it was a part and parcel of that act itself that the cultural identity, the food habits of the Goans would be kept safe under the new arrangement, and it was ratified by the Portuguese government as well as by the government of India. So it's an international treaty which cannot be changed. And in relation to the hill states of the northeastern part of India, I have mentioned about the 6th schedule of the Constitution, of the Indian Constitution.
All right,
so
fair enough.
Prevents in the whole thing.
All right. We've run out of time, Dr. Datta. I apologize, but we've completely run out of time. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We have some breaking news coming in now. Leh apex body and